then shall you be banished from this plantation's liberties.
I would be glad on it.
Then take your leave and trouble us no further.
Tonight on episode 300 of Movie Night Extravaganza, we're talking about Robert Eggers' 2015 supernatural horror film, The Witch.
I be not mercy. I be the witch of the wood, and I have come to steal ye. Hear me stick a flying through the trees. Clickety-clackety, clickety-clackety.
The film, which is constantly rated as one of the scariest movies of the 2010s, was Eggers' directorial debut and also the breakout film for a young Anya Taylor Joy.
I grew up in New England, and if you've ever been to a rural town in New England, it's easy to see that New England's past is kind of everywhere. There's dilapidated colonial farmhouses and graveyards out in the middle of the woods. And New England's past was very much part of my consciousness as a kid. It sounds like a little bit like whatever, but it is true.
Robert Eggers was born in New York City in 1983 to a single mother and is never known his biological father. But as a child, Robert and his mom moved to Laramie, Wyoming, where she met and got married to Walter Eggers, an English literature professor. In 1990s, when Robert Eggers was 7, they moved back east to New Hampshire so that Walter could work as a provost at the University of New Hampshire, where Robert would spend the rest of his childhood. New England and the folklore surrounding it would go on to play a huge role in Robert Eggers' filmmaking. Both The Witch and his next film, The Lighthouse, would take place in New England. Robert Eggers attended the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York City with the idea of becoming a stage director and costume designer for the theater. Robert Eggers made a bunch of short films both in college and afterwards, including Hansel and Gretel, which was a silent film that starred his mother Kelly. An adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart, and then while looking for financing for The Witch, the film Brothers, an adaptation of Cain and Abel. The Witch was produced by Lars Knudsen and Jay Van Hoy, who had a production company at the time called Parts and Labor. Although Knudsen and Van Hoy's partnership would break up, Knudsen is now known as Ari Aster's producer, having started working with him on Hereditary and all his films after that. He has also worked with Eggers on The Northman.
I kind of realized what this was or needed to be was like a Puritan's dream, a Puritan's nightmare. If I could upload a Puritan's nightmare directly into the audience's mind's eye, that would be the goal.
The Witch stars Anya Taylor Joy, Ralph Ineson, Kate Dickie, Harvey Scrimshaw, Ellie Granger, and Lucas Dawson. Eggers has described it as the nightmare of a Puritan, and that's basically the best summary of the film. While he was writing The Witch, he frequently went to Plimouth Plantation, a place he was brought on many field trips as a kid. The Witch tells the story of a Puritan family in the 1630s who have been cast out of Plymouth over a religious dispute and must go live in the woods alone, where they encounter an evil force that begins haunting them, torturing them, killing children and the animals, and causing them to all turn on each other in a fit of paranoia and fear that one of them may be communing with the devil. They turn out to be haunted and stalked by an evil witch living in the woods. In a practice that would go on for his entire career moving forward, Robert Eggers worked with the British and American museums to get the details and costumes exactly right, going as far as casting the film in England so the cast members would have authentic accents for a first generation of American settlers, and working with agricultural experts to get the crops right for the time period. However, in order to get those nice incentives, he was forced to film in Canada rather than New England to save money. After a wide search, he eventually found Kiosk, Ontario, where the film was shot. Eggers has talked about the idea of feminine darkness, and in a time of religious extremism and extreme patriarchy, the idea that anyone who didn't fit into the society, whether because of mental illness, which didn't exist as a concept yet, or their natural temperament, or even just a desire to break out of the natural order, would be considered a witch. And some young women were even led to believe that they were witches themselves because they didn't fit in and couldn't understand why. Thomason, played by Anya Taylor Joy, typifies the kind of young woman who didn't fit into this Puritan lifestyle. along with her aggrieved father William, who she comes to understand is a very weak provider who is constantly failing and unwilling to stand up when his domineering wife, who is going through her own trauma, blames the children for mistakes that he made.
Well done, you.
I cannot look at her.
Aye, but ye shall. Thomasin. Thomasin!
Join us in mercy. I made covenant with the devil in the shape of Black Phillip.
Nature is its own character in the film. The woods is dark and terrifying and all-consuming. Not the place where children should be able to play or wander alone. It's easily understandable why the woods would mold itself into a dark plague in the mind of these characters. And they're all very unsuited to living this way, as almost anyone would be, with hunger gnawing at them as they fail to make this farm work even for sustenance. And aren't good at hunting either, feeling tortured by animals like rabbits and the goats on their farm. They take on sinister dimensions. The witch represents this repressed darkness, but also a sense of complete freedom, as the devil, represented by the goat Black Phillip, ultimately asks Thomasin, "Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?" The witches practice naked and can appear as animals, or a beautiful young woman, or an old woman, living together in an alternative community to the one that banished Thomasin's family. Nudity plays a big role in the story. The witches are nude, young boy Caleb, kissed by a witch, returns nude, and Thomasin joins the witches in the end, joining this lifestyle. Even while starving in the woods, the characters maintain their dress. The god of the film is not really a loving god, but a god who is feared, including a scene where Caleb, the son kissed by the witch, literally has to ask his father, what kind of god would possibly not save an infant who was born in sin like all humans, but has not had time to redeem himself? The film was only shot with candles and natural lighting in order to give it authenticity. And the costume designer, Linda Muir, who has since worked on all 4 of Eggers' films, read 35 books about Elizabethan and Stuart England. The soundtrack contains no electronic instruments in order to maintain the purity of the period. In the end, The Witch was filmed for $4 million and would go on to win Sundance's directing award.
Wouldst thou like the taste of butter? A pretty dress? Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Before I introduce the panel, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Then hit that bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. Super chats are now open. If you have any pressing questions, send us a super chat, which helps me maintain the expenses for the show, in which I am obligated by the rules of the Geneva Convention to stop everything and ask the panel. Another way to help us out is to become a patron and give us money every month. In exchange, you get access to all of our after parties, bonus content, and we'll tell you even more movies we watched recently. Patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. We have a Movie Night Extravaganza Discord. There's an invite link in the episode description, and we have a Letterboxd HQ account. So those are 2 more places to follow along with us. Okay, let me introduce the illustrious panel. We are live right now on This Space. If you aren't following them, join This Space TV on YouTube. Link below. Conan Neutron is the co-host and senior producer for Movie Night Extravaganza, host of Protonic Reversal, an independent Film Critics of America film critic, and the frontman for the band Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. Check out his music at neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. Kristina Oakes is a co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, a streamer on Twitch, twitch.tv/cosmopolitics, a host at This Space, hosting Kristina's Corner, and is across social media at Cosmopolitics and on Letterboxd at Kristina. Lauren Chouinard is a writer and social media strategist who writes film reviews for Merry Go Round magazine and is on Letterboxd at Lonely Goat Herd. I, of course, am your host in The Witch of the Woods, Forrest Miller. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? This, of course, is episode 300.
This is Sparta!
There it is. There it is.
I
was hoping you'd slip that one in there. That's perfect.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Hope answered. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, episode 300.
We're going to by the way. Watch out. You thought this show was wild before. Oh, there we go. I mean, gone.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was quick. Record time. Lauren, welcome on the show.
Hello. I'm super happy to be here.
Always great to have you. Hasn't been that long. I think
Amadeus was the last
Amadeus
one.
was like that was like a month ago, right? Yeah.
I know. I'm like,
and that episode did really well.
Yay! I'm super happy to hear that. I know it did numbers with my film and music theory crowd from college for sure.
Good. Yeah.
Well, maybe they all shared around. It had like within like a few days, it had like 500 views.
Nice.
Like, oh,
they
yeah,
were like, look at how Lauren's using her degree. For her
I mean, I don't know. I feel like every time I post, it's like, oh, he got a media production degree and this is how he's using it. I feel like I'm really like it's so I feel that for sure.
Living the dream.
So Lauren, the witch, or the vitch, if you prefer.
The vitch. I always call it the vitch, and I always will.
Same. It's because the letter W wasn't really used that much, so that's actually how to spell things back then. Which I'm like, what? It's
the double V.
Yeah.
Hey.
But I think it kind of reminds that he like saw that on a pamphlet, and he was like, okay, yeah.
Well, he went deep in the archives. Yeah.
Well, hold on. That was the first part of the sentence, by the way. I was gonna say, I know this is a movie you like. That's why you're here. When did you first engage with Mitch?
Well, it's so funny because it's like, I think I've talked about this on the pod before about how like I was very adverse to horror for like a very, very long time. And I just like, I didn't really like get into it until after I had graduated from film school. And I was like, I think my gateway into like the horror genre was Get Out, because I just was like, oh, it's so smart and like cerebral. And then I am from New England and I am very much like into folklore. And so my friend's like, okay, well, if you want to see something that's really like really exciting and like kind of taps into, you know, your the stories of your homeland, you might want to check out this movie. And I thought that because the way that they marketed it was like that it was going to be like terrifying with a bunch of jump scares. So I was like, no. But I watched it, I think about a year after it came out. And I was like, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. And then it just got me hooked on all things folkloric horror. I ended up going like way back into like the origins of that in like film history. And now this is like my niche interest. Like I love it. So this was like my gateway drug to like all things witchy in like the cinematic universe. So
well, I mean, it's really interesting because like watching, especially from this time, right? Like I feel like he's become a lot more confident since then about his kind of the mystique around Robert Eggers' whole deal. But especially here where he's like kind of a very earnest young filmmaker who's just kind of made this and did it in a very unconventional way, which I feel like a lot more movies are kind of doing historical context in this way, where they really go deep in the archives and try to make the entire thing as perfectly like representative of the time as they possibly can. I'm not saying he like invented that or anything. Obviously, people have been doing that for a long time. Right. But there was a lot more artistic like license. I mean, even like something like Amadeus, right? Like it's not, they're not exactly trying to recreate as much as they're trying to recreate the feeling and like the vibe of it. And you know, he literally does this thing where he goes into the archives and he really researches and he creates all these because he wanted to be a theater designer originally, so he creates all these props, he creates these sets, he like remakes, which it's got to be crazy. I wonder how much money they saved with those incentives, because they remade the Plimouth Plantation in Ontario, which is crazy.
Yeah,
so could have just filmed there. But like stuff. But he doesn't come to any of that as like a horror person at all. Like he watching his interviews, he talks about how actually he was very scared of horror movies as a kid. Like even like Wizard of Oz was too much for him, he said, as a kid, because he was so he's like he's coming at like the horror genre in like this very unique way, because he's not someone that's like, oh, I watched every
was afraid of this. Like he's like this is the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. Everyone thinks like Stephen King doesn't like Halloween. He's not really a big fan of the genre that he really writes a lot, and that's why a lot of his other stuff gets more recognition these days, like, you know, Life of Chuck or whatever. But like it's interesting that it's like you kind of, some of these directors who are known for directing horror are like, you know, actually I was really scared of, you know, scary movies and horror films growing up. I didn't really set on to do a straight up horror that is very
they're not necessarily genre adherent. It's like they're just making a good movie.
Right? And I mean, speaking of it being a good movie, Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe, and Bill Skarsgård saw I want to say the Vivitch as well.
Vivitch, yes.
It's a safe space, Kristina. You can say it.
They saw this film and they all reached out to Robert Eggers, wanting to work with him. And look where we are now, 10 years later.
Well, and it's interesting as well. My experience with it, this came out at a time when I was not engaging with movies very much. And so I was aware of it. People would not stop talking about it. I'm like, wow, everyone's talking about this like witch movie. Okay, like that's interesting. I have to make sure to watch that. So it took me literally years to actually get around to. I just wasn't watching movies a lot of the time, and I especially wasn't watching anything horror adjacent because I as hacky as I feel the genre largely is now, I feel like it was at its nadir around this time of just no new ideas of any kind, at least with the horror. And just very predictable, overly reliant on jump scares, overly reliant on the same sets of tools that were used in like the 80s and 90s, frankly. And I think one of the reasons why this hit as big as it is because, first of all, it's a gorgeous looking film. Like, and him using like all natural lighting and stuff, nobody was using that.
Something he's known for doing now in all his
Absolutely
movies.
now. But this time it was like, who shoots like, a relatively low budget horror movie like using all natural lighting, basically like the same that Kubrick did for Barry Lyndon. You know what I mean? Like
I was about to say it's like Kubrick and like Terrence Malick, but like not anyone who's adjacent to the horror genre. Like that was such a game changer.
And seeing those visuals, because there's one thing if you're like a cinephile and you enjoy things like Terrence Malick stuff and like Barry Lyndon and whatnot, but like if you're only kind of someone that engages with movies, like I heard this movie's cool, like whatever, and you see it like wow, why does this feel so different? And then that's just the visual aspect. There's also the audio aspect that I'm sure we'll get into of using the vernacular and the language of the time.
Yeah. Well, just like hitting the point that you were saying with like other horror movies around this year, right? Like looking up horror movies 2015, Insidious Chapter 3. The third Insidious movie. Guillermo del Toro's Crimson Peak.
I did like
Poltergeist.
The remake.
Yeah, the remake was not good.
Sinister 2, Bone Tomahawk, The Black Coat's Daughter, the Atticus Institute. Like not like a lot of these are kind of like sequels, kind of lower budget. And I Spit on Your Grave, The Vengeance Is Mine. Like the
formulaic
activity.
Things that, like I would watch on streaming, but like I'm not necessarily going to the theater for.
Exactly. It would for sure.
If I'm on Tubi,
Well, because I just as a time for it as a filmmaking genre, it was sort of like a fallow field at the time. Which is to say, it doesn't say there aren't some. Don't at me about it. I'm just saying that coming at it from a filmatic perspective, nobody was approaching this kind of material this way, and with this level of attention to detail to the same level of like historical like romantic drama or something, but just not the least bit of romantic drama in the results, but the level and attention of detail for the apparel, the way everybody's speaking, the mechanisms like used on this like little farm, because it's frankly not that complicated of a story. There's not a lot of story beats to it, but it's very vibey. And nobody was really doing vibey horror in this way at this time.
I mean, it's very interesting to me that Lars Knudsen, the Danish film producer that helped discover Robert Eggers and helped him raise money for this, which he made that movie the short film Brothers about Cain and Abel in order to raise money for this, because he was like, you haven't made anything in like 5 years. The last thing you made was like Hansel and Gretel with your mom as the witch, and it's like, maybe it's time to make something so we can actually show it around, and that kind of got them enough money. The other movies I guess that he really discovered, one of them was American Honey, that Shia LaBeouf movie that people were raving about for a while, and then the other one was I remember seeing it like I think in pieces at the gym, because they played it on the gym for like a weird amount of time. But the other one was Hereditary, and then he went on to really what Lars Knudsen is now most known for after the Parts and Labor studio that he was kind of working on, production house he was kind of working on and fell apart, is he's Ari Aster's producer. So he's literally he co-founded the Square Peg with Ari Aster, like that's their production company now, and he's done every Ari Aster movie. So it's the same kind of like really, really interesting, different kind of horror movie. He found two different people that kind of came into that genre around
and Hereditary is like 2.5 years later, something along those lines. But another one that kind of just upends the apple cart big time with
we're starting to see a trend.
So it's like Vivitch, Get Out, Hereditary, and then then you're basically like, oh, is there such a thing as quote unquote elevated horror, which is put off actual horror fans apparently. I'm like, get over it. I don't know what to tell you. Like you're saying that
you like your
M7 is somehow at the same level as this. Of course it's not. Yeah. Jesus.
It's a little bit better than the original title for art horror, which is like I like. Yeah,
I saw someone say that they're like times this thing goes some time has gone by. We can all agree that the substance wasn't really that good, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I thought the substance was great. Body horror. What the?
Yeah, nobody agrees with that. Yeah.
But also but this is basically the film debut of Anya Taylor Joy before she got her fat removal.
He was such a baby in this movie. I couldn't get over it. I was like, she's so young and
I'm like, how old is she? 12? Like, what the?
And now she's Furiosa, and I'm like, damn, she's been on a journey.
I know.
This is her first movie. This is the first.
Yeah, it's her first. Yeah, it's her first like
big
real
feature.
role in a movie.
Okay, all right.
Because before that, she was a model, and I think she had been in the background of like a few like European kind of TV shows. But yeah, this is her first first meaty role in a movie.
And now we're at the point where it was like, can we please stop casting her in every movie? And I'm like, guys, every generation has a bunch of actors who get cast in film. Like it's happened in the 70s with the De Niro's and the Redfords and the Nicholsons. Like it's the same thing. Like she has talent. I forgot that she was not American. Like I'm like I most of her roles she has like an American accent. I forget that she's.
I'll watch her in anything. She just has one of those faces that's
pretty good.
Like Last Night in Soho was that's my favorite one of hers. But
Last Night in Soho is not a popular movie, but I quite enjoyed it. Yeah,
I enjoyed it. And Blinders too. I thought something was gonna happen between Gina and Tommy, but I guess not. Anyway,
the first thing I remember seeing her in before, because I'd heard of I heard of Robert Eggers when The Lighthouse came out. That was like my I didn't hear for whatever reason, like The Witch kind of completely passed me by. I think it's like, I don't know, I'm not like that crazy into horror either. Like I feel like I've watched less horror movies than like most other genres, but I mean that blind spot's kind of being rectified with this podcast, but like it's not like necessarily the genre.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe at one point. No, this
yeah. But the first time I really remember totally seeing her was like The Queen's Gambit, that show where she was playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, who is this? Like her face is so like she almost has like this strange like alien thing about her face
really
because
does
of those
look
eyes
like an
and like
alien.
but in like an attractive way, which I really like is like.
She's like the perfect like Eggers, like you know how like Hitchcock has like the Hitchcock blondes. I think Robert Eggers is gonna keep casting certain female actresses like Lily Rose Depp. Like that kind of embrace like the goth, or even like maybe even me a goth, like do like a gothic, like the ones who do a gothic aesthetic like in their real lives. Because if you saw Anya Taylor Joy's wedding, it was like a Roman Catholic gothic type of like vibe, and I'm like, I'm here for it. But like it was funny because I was talking to my sister about horror movies, because she's like, my sister even told me, I'm like, have you ever seen any of these movies? She's like, the only movie I ever remember seeing as a kid was Pet Sematary, being freaked out by that old lady who made like the weird breathing sounds. And I'm like, okay, well here's a few horror movies like that Robert Eggers that you should watch that are very, very good.
Did she enjoy it? Like, was it something that kind of spoke to her more?
She still refuses to watch I'm more the film buff. I grew up watching horror movies with my grandfather when I shouldn't have.
I feel that.
So I was just desensitized. I mean, my mom and I are gonna, because we're doing our show on Halloween. We're gonna spend the 30th mischief night watching Sinners.
Oh, great!
Because I've been harping my mom to watch Sinners, so that's gonna be exciting.
Oh, she has. I'm surprised she hasn't yet. When it first came out on HBO Max, I watched it for like the third or fourth time, and then my mom was like kind of just there, and she was like, "Oh, that's the movie you've been talking about." And sorry for that phone.
But also, this film is on HBO. That's how I was able to watch it again, was because it's on HBO Max. So I was like, oh shit, we got the episode coming up. Let me go and watch it. And I remember, like, damn, it's such a good film. Like, it really fits the aesthetics, and again tapping into like that folklore, because this film is basically based on a lot of storytelling, a lot of folklore.
Sure.
Especially at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also there's so much of it, like the whole heavy, English accents, the colonial Calvinists just starting off in the U.S. thing. That's important. I think that it's vital. The casting, as amazing as Anya Taylor Joy is, and she is great, but Ralph Ineson, who I love, just with that super deep voice as the patriarch of the family, is so good. And I knew him from two things, which is the BBC The Office. He had a recurring character in that.
Yeah. No way.
All the way back. And hold on, not done. And the second season of Game of Thrones, Dagmar Cleftjaw, because he was in that as well, and he was definitely like, oh, I wish I saw more of that character, because that guy is so great.
He's kind of like, almost like another, because is he British or Irish? Because he's kind of got like an Alan Rickman thing going, where he's got
he's Yorkshire. He's got
okay, that's why.
Yeah.
So, and also he's become a regular Edgar's collaborator, and he's become a bit of a genre actor too, because he was in the first Omen. Like he got a lot of praise for doing in Fantastic Four as well. He's very underrated, and I feel like
there's a lot of voice work. Some of these Discovery Channel shows.
He toes the line between like character actor and just like that guy supporting actor.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you guys didn't mention he's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
that's right. Too. That's right. Yeah. He's like one of the Ravagers, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah. So but he's just a good character actor, that guy, and just I don't think the movie works at all without him. Like in the same way, of course, it wouldn't work without Anya Taylor Joy either, but she's the lead. But I'm saying, like, if you don't have him, just with that
resonance,
right? The real engine hum kind of voice that he has, but then also that just stubborn patriarchal insistence as well. Like
I was gonna say, I think that he like really like lends himself to that, because it's like he's trying to kind of puff himself up to be like I am the provider, but he's like a really shitty provider, and like I love the tone.
So bad.
Yeah.
Well, she just lights him up in that one where like when, again, spoiler alert, everybody, for a movie that's over 10 years old, like when everybody is just convinced that she's the witch, and like he's basically accusing her, and she's like, well, you're providing what exactly are you providing? You can't grow corn, like you can't hunt, you can't do this, you can't do that, all you can do is chop wood. And it's like, oh well, you got him there.
She read him to filth.
And that's what he goes, his answer just bitch, and he
he has no answer, and but that's also
that is such a good and I didn't pick up on this the first time I watched this, which was like pretty recently. I think I watched it last year. It was the first time I watched this, which I had watched The Lighthouse before. But
when we did Nosferatu, I think you caught up with this in Northman, right? I think you caught up.
Yeah. But like I feel like there's such a like, I don't know, like the commentary on patriarchal society, right? And like the idea of the provider. But like when a guy, like as the head of the family, as like the the masculine head of the family, is a bad provider, even though he really isn't, the mother really is. It seems like he bends to the mother's will every single time. But as like this kind of figurehead person of the family, once you kind of get lit up like that, the only thing you can really fall back to in this time period is like violence, like anger, and like telling your daughter to like shut up, and like striking her and locking her in the goat house to like teach her a lesson. Like it's such a commentary on kind of this kind of like world that was kind of created in early America that's kind of based around discontent, and like what do you do with the people who are discontented for this dude, like, because the people that ended up coming to America and living in this community were already like the discontented of England, right? Like it's the people that couldn't really, they're like you're kind of the wild people, like you're the people that can't really function.
Well, the Calvinism,
which is
too, and like they're coming from a deep religiosity, like a deep sense of faith, so they could practice their faith, which is their most important thing to them. Which I guess it would be if like life was that bleak and horrific and crappy. I'm sorry, it looks horrible.
But when you look at
Oh, go ahead.
Lauren. No, when you look at pictures of England at this time, like London is already like a metropolis. Like London is it's not the London necessarily of now, but it's like it already is an urban center. And like a lot of the places that would turn out to be these like huge urban centers are already kind of built into urban centers. So you're going from that, which is like a civilization. You're the discontented, people that couldn't function in that society. So you get sent to like the wilderness to be like, oh, it seems like you'd be more, you can practice your religion. You can kind of do this thing and you can live this very austere Calvinist life, on a different continent, pretty much. Like we don't really want you on this continent anymore. But like, there's always going to be someone who's too discontented even for that small society where it's like, oh, you can't function in this Calvinist community either. Go into the woods. And like it's such a good representation of like that guy.
Self-definition, basically, right?
Yeah. But those guys,
the movie starts, and you don't have any frame of reference. You don't even know what it's about. And it's almost better that you don't, because it doesn't matter. It's some banal minutia we could have impossible hope to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, you see those like initially though. You see the pilgrim hats, and you're like, take it to that, because everybody in this movie. I mean, besides like Ralph Ineson now, I guess. But like at this time period, right? Like everyone, and Katie Dickey, the mother, was in Game of Thrones for like a couple seasons.
She was in Game of Thrones too.
They
never had any scenes together. Her and Ralph.
They would use her. They would use her face. I remember, like on some of the post, like Game of Thrones stuff, because it's such a good, like old ancient kind of face. And those, like the two of them, like living in like kind of this alternative space. It's like you instantly kind of get transported. You understand kind of instantly what's going on, and like everybody in this is kind of unknown, and you feel instantly transported into like this world of, because you see the Plymouth Plantation set up and everything.
And you can't.
Like,
and unfortunately, this is something that a lot of people are pointing out, is that when a lot of shows take place in a certain time period, it's hard to believe that ththese people look like they belong in that time period, because they're getting fillers, they're getting veneers. I mean, Anya Taylor Joy with the buccal fat removal, it really goes to show, this film was 10 years ago, and we've come a long way, unfortunately, with the way people look, and that, everyone's, and with a lot of period pieces these days, is that they interpret it and like add like a modern flair to it, which this movie does not have at all, which is fantastic.
Which the only example specifically to that point, real quick, Kristina, because I want to get us back in point and hear what Lauren has to say. Nicole Kidman's character in The Northman, and they do a good job of that, because that character is supposed to be kind of otherworldly looking.
Thomason in this.
No, hold on. Lisa Aaron is the younger sister of Caitlin Stark from Winterfell. That's what Katie Dickey plays. And it's important to note, because it's like you're saying that there's certain movies that are historical dramas or whatever, you just don't believe it. It's like, no, that face knows how to text. That face is online. That face has a TikTok account, That's what I wanted to drop that in. And also, Lauren, I wanted to give you a chance to chime in on what you wanted to say too.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying, like, I think that, like just dropping us into the setting. And it's so funny, because it's like every time I go back to like New England, and it's like February in like Massachusetts, and like my family lives on the western side of the state, so it's like we drop into Boston, and then we're driving through the woods and things like that. And my dad, who grew up there, who lived there his whole life, but we moved to California when I was young, he'll just be like, I can't believe people live here. And I'm like, and he grew up there, but it's like that, but it's true. It's like there are people who like live so just like a completely different reality out there in the woods, and they're like still kind of like, they still kind of have that like outsider, like pilgrim mentality, like just in the like the self-reliance. And they are still discontented everywhere in Massachusetts.
This is just early Pennsylvania, like an Amish country. Like it's a very different like world over here, and I'm like,
and they really like, I don't know, like if you look at the history of those sects, like there's like obviously the Quakers in like in Pennsylvania, they kind of founded the colony in Pennsylvania. There's also the Shakers who were kind of pushed out of Quakers
and Shakers.
They would do this thing where like they would literally move their bodies and they would not stop moving them, and that's like they'd be like, oh, like
so they were
the
stemming
Spirit.
is what you're saying, Forrest.
Yeah, I mean, well, they couldn't diagnose autism back then because they didn't have Tylenol yet. But so
there it is, everybody. There it is.
So they had,
dating the episode October 2025. There we go, everybody.
But each of these religious sects would break off from the other ones because there would always be these people that were so discontented that they would be like, oh, we can't function in this world anymore, in this society anymore. We have to create our own new thing. Actually, God is telling us to do this, and you go further and further into it until kind of you create Mormonism, which is like the I think that's the farthest that they kind of allowed that to go, where they're like, okay,
and,
like, let's
back it up. And speaking of the religious sects, the Satanic Temple endorsed this movie. They actually were like, we hold screenings for it all the time. We do like they say that it's
your family sucks that bad. You're like, good for her.
It's an impressive presentation of satanic insight that will inform contemporary discussion of religious experience, is what they said.
Yeah,
I have a friend.
Yeah.
I have a friend that's a drag queen that lives next to one of the last remaining like original satanic temples, like the ones from from the 20th century. And I went there and I shot a movie, like I shot my documentary like at his house. But like one of the he really is a lot like that, where it's like a movie like this, he 100%. We're like Facebook friends and he posts like the craziest memes sometimes. I'm like that's definitely like the kind of like really into this movie kind of crowd. I feel like where you're like, look,
I love that.
You just have to watch it. Like,
yeah, because it's like 1630s, right? So it's like it's a Puritan settlement. It's not. We'll go and say not the best time in history to be a woman in general.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of nudity.
Can I just say, because to go back to your point about like the religious, like the religiosity and the like endorsement by the Satanic Temple, I was reading a little bit about like people's like from the Christian perspective of this movie, because I was just like really curious. And so
they got into it.
Yeah, I was going to say our friends from Focus on the Family obviously didn't love this movie. They said something, what was his name? It doesn't matter. But somebody from Focus on the Family said that William is absolutely devoted to leading his family in holiness and the ways of the Lord, which should be a good thing. But the fruit of his rigorous focus on dogmatic piety is a deep fear and morbid meditations on hell, damnation. And I'm like, you're missing the point. You missed the point.
Yeah.
But I listen to the Film Spotting podcast. I love those guys. And one of the hosts of Film Spotting, Josh Larson, is a Christian.
Oh, he wrote that the book, right? I forget what it's called.
He wrote a book on Christian perspectives on horror. He loves this movie. And like I really liked what he had to say about it, because he wrote an article about it for Think Christian. And so he said, when it comes to encountering evil, the family in the film veers wildly back and forth between triumphalism and defeatism, which is two theological extremes. In refusing to allow for grace, they become easy pickings for the witch. And I really liked that perspective, because he's talking about like, you know, the further you go down into like those like niche groups, and then you get like too far into like the weeds on things, the more it's easy to tear you apart. And I think that that's a really, really like important perspective, especially as we're dealing with like far right, like Christian ideologies like today. It just seems like that message is very like ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because in a way they and because there's different little like sections and groups within like in a whole group in itself, and it's like they like little minor things they have like, you know, disagreements on and fight over and whatnot. And it's the same obviously with like all religions. I mean, look at, you know, Martin Luther and his 99 Thesis, and, you know, Protestantism and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you know, like I was thinking about the advent of like mass culture, and like just looking at this movie from the perspective that it's in. There is no cohesive mass culture, at least in like the American settlements, besides religion and you know, like whatever English history that you know that they brought over, you know, they were educated on and brought over from England. Like there's no cohesive, like this movie does a very good job of kind of creating this atmosphere of like destructive and like ambivalent boredom that I don't think a lot of other directors would be as willing to put on the screen, where you're sitting there and like The Lighthouse does this even more, where it's like he's not like Robert Eggers is not afraid to sit with that boredom and really show you that the reason that people, like one of the reasons at least that people are so fixated on religion is that it's the only form of kind of communal culture, and it's the only thing that you can really sit around and think about all day when you're kind of in the woods,
so especially in like the 1600s, like in what was, well, first of all, native lands, but secondly, like as far as culturally for them, there just wasn't a lot, you know, even like the cities that we think of as like big cities, they were tiny, there were settlements at this point, and getting away just from the quote unquote safety of that. You know, that's a crazy thing. Anyone who's ever been in like really isolated areas, there is a certain feel where you're like, I am far away from like lots of stuff. And this movie does a great job of showing that as a vibe.
I thought it was so funny
like,
when the dad went and like built his set. When I was watching this movie with my spouse yesterday, he's like, shout out to William though for like building that like set, like his homestead in like record time. I'm like, yeah, that was like pretty cool because he's like way out there.
Yeah, that he seemed to be good at. Just once the building was done, like he was crap at everything else.
Yeah, it was like but
including fatherhood, by the way. But anyway,
like not great. It was interesting though because it was like as they were kind of moving into the woods, and you know, and we're getting all of the ominous music. It's so funny because if you like take out just the music of that beginning part, like that ominous music that they have as they're being exiled, if you just like, I watched that scene twice, once with the scary music and then once on mute. If you just watch it on mute, it's like it just looks like a family that's like going camping.
The music does so much heavy lifting for the vibe. You're right.
So much heavy lifting, but it's like, it's so disconcerting. But the thing is, like, even in the silence, I'm like the woods, like it gives you this kind of, with the way that it's lit and things like that, it's giving you this thing of like, man thinks that they can always triumph over nature, and they they never will.
Yeah. Just looking at like the mass cultural idea of things too. Like, you know, just as a time period thing, right? Like this is the 1630s, the Pilgrim's Progress, which is like, you know, people went crazy for that book for the longest time in like early America, because it's like, what else really do you have? So that wasn't even put out until 1678. And then something like Paradise Lost, like the Milton poem that people really were like crazy about, that wasn't even towards like 1667. So it's like this is 3 decades even before kind of these beginning touchstones of like mass literature. And I mean, you know, Shakespeare kind of was like in the 1600s too. It's like these things are starting to kind of come around, but it's still, you know, they're not going to have Shakespearean plays or any real connection to that in early America, right?
Yeah,
Like
you're not talking about ideas.
Yeah,
they're just trying to like survive.
They're right, exactly. And there is that great, you know, where the wife character she's been like, I want to go back to England, you know. It's just been like, well, why? Yeah, of course you do. Of course, like this sucks. Like this is like not like, and it's basically because you're, you know, the Ralph Ineson character is just stubborn ultimately about what we don't even know, but it doesn't matter. That's actually one of the things I think that it's best not shown, that it doesn't matter. Yeah. I want to talk about, so on the soundtrack, it's the nyckelharpa, so keyed fiddle. It's a Swedish instrument from the 12th century, and the waterphone, which is like it's hard to describe, but it's like a series of like cylindrical bronze rods of different that you when you play on there, and that's what the soundtrack is. So he didn't want any traditional harmony or melody in the score, so the guy Mark Corvin made these like basically tense and dissonant sounds, like a super like Philip Glass style minimalist.
I was gonna say it reminds me so much of atonal stuff like Schoenberg and Philip Glass and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, also too, you know, if we know, you know, a lot of people have interviewed Edgar saying like, are you going to do anything modern? He's like, no, the most like modern he would probably tackle would be like the 1950s, and that would be very interesting to do.
Yeah,
but like he's not interested.
He said literally, the quote is something like, because I saw this the other day. The quote that he pretty much said is, "I'm disgusted by the thought of filming technology.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Love that.
I don't blame him. That's why, and again, like, it's funny because even though he's already done a few films since this one, they already have like highlighted his directing trademarks and his style and what he does, and a lot of people are like, we might not have seen it, but if you go back to watching like The Lighthouse in this movie,
I think
like,
it's there.
It's there, yeah.
It's there. It's just that this is a good early iteration of it. Like, I think what he has done here is just so much more robust and grown in like Nosferatu and Northman than it is here. And part of that's budget, but part of it's just like he's just much more sure as a filmmaker. But it's pretty, like, the complaints I had with this movie originally, and I like it way better on second viewing, but none of it had to do with like the look or feel. The look or feel were all like, I mean, that was like notably like, wow, where did this guy come from? And in a way that I don't think I've seen. When I saw Green Knight, probably is the only other one I can think of in recent memory where I'm like, whoa, this guy, like, what's going on here? But it's rare to have that level of technical achievement and have it come through this genre in this way. And I think Ari Aster is another example, right? Being Hereditary first, but in a very different way. Jordan Peele, maybe another one, right? But it's just like, you'll be like, this is his first movie? Crazy,
Yeah, but also too, they don't let their style of filmmaking be like the main focus. It's like, actually, it's like, how people get distracted by good cinematography,
paging Tim Burton, yeah,
or like or like good sets, but like the story and the characters lack. This actually has everything you need. Like he has a certain style that awesome, but that doesn't carry the movie as a whole.
Yeah, so on second rewatch, I watched this with subtitles last night.
Yeah,
can I tell you, full star better as a movie, because I could understand what the hell everybody was saying. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be reductive. I also watched the great Ken Loach movie Kess that has like people have such thick accents.
I love Kess.
Amazing. But I turned on them subtitles I turned on those subtitles so quick because I was like, I can't understand what anybody's saying. Sorry, peace and love, but I can't understand.
I can't see without my subtitles,
Yeah, it's funny. It's better of a movie for me with subtitles, and I'm not even.
It's funny that you say that, because the literal quote, because I watched like a bunch of interviews with him. The literal quote of like he was talking about how it took a long time for the actors to actually realize, like, until they saw it on screen, that this was like a horror movie rather than like a period piece kind of
period piece.
And he said
that's what you think of. You like have costumes and old timey language, right?
So the quote that he said is, he said that they played it like a Ken Loach movie. Like that's how they were kind of
funny. Okay, I see it.
They saw themselves as like characters in a Ken Loach style, historical piece kind of, rather than seeing themselves as like. And then once they saw it on screen, it was like, oh, this is like this is a horror, like a horror movie. Like it just wasn't connecting with them.
That's
in, I guess, that same way. Yeah,
that's kind of he said that, like, you only get a movie extravaganza, people.
Yeah. Well, he said it's not like he was like, it's not like I hid it from them, but like, like it just kind of didn't click.
That's so rad.
Those twins are terrible, and I hate them.
Come play with us, Daddy. Just kidding.
Those twins suck, right? I mean, am I wrong here? Am I being too dismissive?
They suck majorly. Like, basically, like they all suck, and like I'm an eldest daughter. Let's talk about it. Like, I feel so like I was so heated. The first time that I watched this movie, I was like going off of vibes. Second time I watched this movie, I was like really paying attention to the family dynamics and like really invested in Thomason's journey and like really kind of delving into like the feminism of it all. And I was just like so angry at how much I related to her as like eldest daughter that had motherhood, maternal shit projected on her immediately against her will. I'm like, well, no wonder she was like, it was like she had one job, which was to watch the baby, and then the baby gets taken away, and now it's all her fucking fault, because that's always what they do. If the eldest daughter isn't doing the motherly duty, then everything is her fault and everything gets blamed on her. And it's just like, and if it's bad for people now, if it was bad for me as a kid, Can you even
oh
imagine
my
what it
God,
would
yeah.
be like in the freaking 1600s? And so I
Right.
just really felt for her. But
400 years ago, no great
yeah,
saying.
I was
Damn
like,
kids.
damn.
People, come on now.
Like,
Well, and she gets critique for everything, right? Because she does her best to like wrangle these terrors, and they don't listen to her, and then she gets critiqued for that. They don't.
yeah,
It's just failing all around. But
yeah.
it definitely sets up that like this sucks. Like this life is terrible. Like
Get me out of here.
Like when they're like, "Hey, we'll trade her to another family," basically conscript her into service. Like it's like Jesus Christ, man.
I had this theory. I don't know if this is like if this holds any water, but I had this theory that I'm like the witch was doing her a favor by picking off her siblings to release her of the burden of having to play the role of a mother.
Yeah.
And like in that there was some liberation for her, so that she didn't have to. Like,
I mean, I think in general, there's liberation for her. Like that moment where she finally gets to wander off and join the witches. It's like her life sucks, and it's like, you know, her father is a bad provider. Like I don't know. Like I mean, I think a lot of people probably can relate to just like this realization as you get older that your like family I mean, number one, like there's the realization obviously your family isn't infallible. They're like, you know, they're just people. They're people maybe trying their best, but they're not always great at it. And then the second one is like, if you realize one of your parents or both of your parents are like a complete disappointment, like that disillusionment that kind of comes you know, over you in that moment. It's like she realizes that, you know, has that revelation during the course of this movie where it's like
with the utility to be able to do anything about it specifically with her power at that moment in time. Yeah.
Well, and if her father is left to his own devices, like that family is gonna starve. Like that family is not like they are on the verge of starving throughout this movie because he's a bad provider. He can't hunt. Like the one time he hunts, he shoots at the hare, and then the shrapnel from the fucking terrible bullets because they probably gave him like shitty bullets. So they're like, oh, that's that crazy guy out there. Comes back and hits him in the face, and he's left like like that. Like that's the one time he tries to actually kill anything. And he's not good. Like he has some stalks of corn or whatever, and he can't even make that work.
And he can't control his animals in the pen, which I can't believe we're like an hour into this podcast and we haven't talked about my boy.
Black Phillip. Speak his name.
Which famously, they had a lot of trouble actually with that goat. Trying to rein in that goat. Like,
he got like banned from future movies. They were like, this guy sucks. Like, don't work with him. And then they're like, just put him on a farm somewhere. No one hire him again. But man, is he a handsome goat.
He is
also the hair too. The hair.
Yeah.
And you could tell he's got that thing where it's like, look, this guy's a nightmare, like an early Hollywood style nightmare, but like, goddamn, is he gorgeous? Because there's so many shots of the goat's eye and face and like different parts of it, and like Robert, like you know that wasn't written in the script. You know that Robert Eggers is just like, this is a beautiful looking goat.
This goat is spring looks right now, and I'm just gonna lean into it.
They were out and they're like, we're looking for America's next top model goat.
Top goat.
Well, you know,
I mean, goats are famously hard to manage because they'll just eat anything. Like they actually so along the Hudson River, right? Like the poison ivy grows too much. Like things will get overwhelmed by the vines and by the poison ivy and by all the things. They've actually hired goats to go, like they pay somebody to bring their goats over to
Goater to go get them,
and for like a month out of the year they let
the goat app hire goats on Goater.
They let the goats just wander.
I know.
There was like this really funny New York like Department of Environmental Conservation post that was like, if you see goats along the Hudson River, do not disturb them. They are working.
Like, these are working
goats.
They're uncomfortable, but they are working.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and speaking, you know, with the animals, like the hare, apparently, you know, in colonial New England, hares were considered magical creatures in their own right. They were often associated with witches, either as a milk hare, which stole or spoiled milk from the farm animals, or the witches themselves, who were thought able to turn into a hare in order to spy out and influence people.
See, that was the witch. I thought that was the witch in hare form, is what.
Yeah.
But I mean, but think about
okay.
No, I was just gonna say, like the literature wise, right? Like even Alice in Wonderland, like the
white hair,
like
Well, the White Rabbit is probably more magical
Yeah.
than the March Hare, but who's just a psychopath. But the peace and love. Coming up next week, the March Hare, everybody.
I love the March Hare. It's my favorite one.
So what was it like working with the Mad
Hatter? well, you see, Forrest, you know, he had a very distinguished. I'm playing a character. I thought the witch was in hare form or some and caused the gun blowback.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. It could be that like they're like, yeah, this guy sucks. Give him the worst ammo you can possibly find, which is most of it because it's 1630.
But I mean, I think it's open to interpretation. Like, I don't think that there's a right or wrong.
Well, it's okay if there's no answer to it, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
because that's where you first get. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna agree. Kind of like, you know, when people are like, "This is the definitive thing that happened." It's like, no, things can be open to interpretation, and it's fine.
I thought
notice like upon like even because this is maybe my like 5th or 6th watch of this movie, and it wasn't clocking until like recently that when Samuel gets stolen, it's because she's using his blood for a flying spell. I didn't realize.
Yeah, like within like 5 minutes of the movie, it's like, oh my god, all right.
It's
so soon.
I only knew that because I was like going over like the plot on like Wikipedia. Like the first thing he says is like, oh, he just takes the baby and uses it for a flying ointment.
I'm pretty sure I did not get that the first time. That I did not get that. That's why it was.
I didn't either, and that's why like I looked for it when I was watching that scene, and I was like, how would people know that? But then they give a little bit of like a like they're showing like the shaking and like she's trying to like levitate. It's kind of like when you're doing like there's some people who, if they're doing like transcendental meditation, for example, they try and like jump in order to like levitate. It was like kind of giving that, and I was like, okay, that's where but I don't think that a person, unless they were looking for it, would have gotten that off of first, second, or even third.
Yes, looks like creepy witch shit.
Dude, and
I also don't
scarier than wrinkled old lady hands. Let's talk about it.
I mean,
it's hard. I
just hard to like
X. It's hard to like, you know, like it's hard. I think it's hard to shoot a scene of a baby being split open and used for like, you know, having their like entrails used for a flying ointment. Like I think that they did a good job, like kind of keeping it mysterious because otherwise it's like you're like 10 minutes into the movie and she's like throw it, like rips the baby apart. It's just like
that's crazy.
Imagine this movie came out during COVID.
Oh god.
So I thought they were gonna eat one of the kids when I first watched it. I was like,
okay, and that's the real like, you know, Hansel and Gretel, you know, Red Riding Hood kind of vibes to it. So when the brother, who's a little hornball, by the way, like imagine like being not only stuck with your little brother, but he's like at that age and like you're in the same like house together. He's like leching off, like, oh man, it's
there's so much stuff everywhere, dude. Ugh. Yeah, everything's so sticky.
I think I think it works really well when the dog takes off and he goes after the dog, and unfortunately later the dog does in fact die. If you're checking, you know, if you've never seen this movie because the dog dies.
It's just fake enough looking that like it didn't trigger that thing in my brain where it's like it's just far enough away and like kind of fake enough looking that I'm like, okay, it's not really the dog. It's not really the dog. It's not really the dog.
But the look goes to the shack in the wilderness, right? And you're like, oh no, this isn't like what you should be doing right now, right? And so, and then you see the witch, but like she's like young and hot, like she's like beautiful, and you're like he's all horned up. This is not going to end well.
Vaguely kind of Latina looking. She's like vaguely kind of Latina looking too, and it's like
she's like an Australian model or something, if I remember correctly. But it is such a good scene because it definitely rings that fairy tale visual bell within your mind of like, okay, nothing good will come of this. Like this kid should just haul ass and get out of there, but he's not going to. And when you see the withered hand, like when she's got him, and you see the withered hand come up, it's so effective. And it's just, there's nothing creepy about it other than like, other than the score, right? The score is very creepy that like, you can tell, okay, nothing good's going to happen with this score. But when you see the hand, you're like, And that's the closest thing to a jump scare you get in the entire movie. But it's like a 5-minute setup, or it feels like a 5-minute setup.
It's that. Wait, it's that, and then it's also when they're in the goat pen, and it's the old witch's face, and then she turns around and goes,
yeah. When she's drinking the blood from the goat. Yeah.
It's the one kind of like hokey jump scare that I'm like, all right, buddy, you get one. You get one of those. But I don't know when there's going to be another place to.
Happy 300th birthday and happy birthday, Kristina. Thank you.
Happy 300th birthday, Kristina.
Yeah, I feel like it.
No, so there's not gonna be another place to talk about this, since we're already talking about the horny little brother. So
who to be fair, it's indeed horned up. Yes.
Yeah. So
we gotta talk about it.
When there's that whole scene where he's giving himself to Christ, and the apple comes out of his mouth, which is horrifying. Like a full apple just comes out with like a bite taken out of it. That scene where he says like the stuff that he's repeating or whatever comes from the actual transcript of not the Salem witch trials in the 1690s, but the Hartford Hartford, Connecticut witch trials, which is like a witch trial, like a group witch trial that happened a few decades before, where and it's referenced in the Crucible with the good wife Aries, like that kind of. So they said, "Father, help me! Good wife Aries is upon me. She chokes me. She kneels on my belly. She will break my bowels. She pinches me. Good wife Aries torments me. She pricks me with a pin. She'll kill me. Get the broad axe and cut off her head." And that's the thing that he repeats. He's like, "Get the broad axe and cut off her head. Get the round axe and cut off her head. Get that whole part of it is from like the actual transcript of this very, very early witch trial."
That's metal as fuck.
Yeah.
It totally is. Yeah, it rules. Well, and that's another thing that distinguishes Eggers' movie from so many other movies that came out around the same time, is that he's pulling from those things that is just a scary part of history, and he's pulling from that, which is just as scary as the actual scary things that are happening. Like, just like, wow, that's like, what is this stuff he's saying? This is nuts. It doesn't strictly tie into a plot. Oh, well, it's a something that happened earlier in the movie. No, this is just like terrifying stuff nobody understands.
Yeah. Little boy he was the first guy to go to Pizza Hut. That hat that he's wearing,
Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut.
The wool hat that he's wearing in the beginning, it's like a very modern kind of hat, which I thought was interesting. That they throw his head, the knitted cap. But it also reminded me of
him.
I was thinking about Bulworth, and I was like, that kid would grow up to be Bulworth's like great grandfather or whatever. When he puts on the hat and the sunglasses, he's like, "Yo."
Yeah.
Bulworth, wow, yeah, we did cover that movie, didn't we?
Like forever ago.
But yeah, that all works really well.
That's where Kristina wore the Obama shirt.
Oh, that's right.
The
little brother character. The only of age woman that's not his mom is his sister. That's gross. That's like, horrifying. But that's more of like 1630s Calvinist homesteading. Also in that same.
Yeah, it's kind of that's what they're known for, I guess.
But I mean,
no one outwitches the hut. That's good. That's good. That's solid. Solid.
But like being like a preteen / like 12-year-old boy, it's already like it's a gross state of being, right? Like you're realizing these urges and like hormones.
As girls feel, man, we're bleeding out of our vaginas for the first time, and yet that's considered witchcraft back in the day.
She does that. She does that too in this, where they literally she's reached her first sign of womanhood. But so it must be crazy to have that Calvinist homesteading thing, and also realize like you have those same urges, and the only people around obviously are your family, but also even if you're just a regular guy living in that thing and you're having those urges, like it probably triggers that religious fervor in your brain where you're like, well, my religion tells me any of this stuff is like devil's work, like this is the devil talking to you, and it's like, but your body doesn't stop feeling that, so it definitely creates like this split kind of like schizophrenic style thing within like a kid like that, I'm sure.
I like it
when you have that much like religiosity like kind of baked into like your life. All sin is created like equal, so it's like sin on your sister and like lying to your mom about something small, same thing, all sin is created like across the board is bad.
And it's original sin too. Like the dad gives no satisfactory answer when all the kid wants to know is like, did my baby brother go to hell?
Yeah.
And the dad's answer is more or less probably, you know. And then they have that whole back and forth. I don't want to talk about that though. But what I want to talk about is that, like, I think I expected when I heard about this movie, first of all, Black Phillip would be just chatterboxing. I felt like Black Phillip would be like a major character in the movie.
Black Phillip. I've literally once a week in my brain goes, Black Phillip, reads upon his head or whatever, like once or twice a week since I want this movie.
What a nursery rhyme, am I right?
Like, so in the plot, it's very clear that he is basically more or less grooming the twins to be like his pawns, right? Who suck anyway, canonically established. They already suck, but like he's basically pushing them in a direction to get the outcome that he wants. But we don't see any of that on screen, right? And it's one of those things where, oh, is she crazy for thinking that, like, you know, they're communing with this goat, and it's like, you know, it's like, well, it's clearly coming from somewhere. So you're left to think in that same way that the young lady is like, oh, well, she's crazy. Like, you're, oh, maybe she is. Maybe like everybody's just gone nuts in this crazy little shack. And then, so saving the Black Phillip of it all until the very end, other than just like serving looks, is an aesthetic choice. That's an art house choice for sure.
Yeah.
And I like it, but I think I didn't appreciate it as much the first time. I just thought there was going to be some more, like, the audience would have one over on the characters and know, like, hey, something's not right with that goat. Even though I think you can kind of,
that boy ain't
guess. Right. Yeah, right. That goat ain't right. Yeah.
That kid ain't right, I guess.
That kid.
That kid ain't right. There you go. That works.
Yeah.
That works.
Well, the goat disembowels the other. I mean, you know, the witch and the other goats are left disemboweled. Yeah. Like the witch eats them, and whatever happens to Black Phillip. I like that they never really explain what happens to the like assumably the witch took them and like did like ate them or used them for a fly, but we never find out what happened to the twins. The twins are just gone when she wakes up.
Right. Yeah. And arguably,
and I don't really care because they suck. Yeah.
You're like,
yeah, it's probably doesn't end well for them, and that's probably fine. They suck, but I think it works well as a storytelling device to not show that, because then you're left to again question whether what's happening to Anya Taylor Joy's character is in her head even or not, or she just like coming with some rationalization as madness that everyone is having different flavors of at that moment in time.
Yeah,
that she's continually being blamed for. I mean, like
constantly,
like, we're
at all points.
She's a woman. Okay,
eldest.
We're
yeah,
but also by the mother hates her more than the father does. Like, yeah. I'm not like
it's almost like a jealousy thing too. You know,
that she's sleeping with. Like, she accuses her at the end of sleeping with both the father and the son or whatever. Like, that's how far gone her brain is by then.
Well, the Ralph Ineson character is very much on her side until he isn't, right? And that's something that this drives her crazy as well. And so this like starts these multiple schisms that are happening. You know, it's her versus the twins, it's the mom versus the dad, so on and so on. And the only mediating force is the brother. And then when the brother disappears, then just the apple cart just freaking gets overturned completely.
She's giving boy mom energy, and we don't like to see it.
Yeah. I really do like, so as the dad gets more pathetic throughout this, right? When you first see him, he's standing up to like the other the other pilgrims, the other Puritans or whatever, and he's like, pretenders, all of you can't judge me. But then he says to his family, like, you're all pretenders. You can't judge me, pretenders. And then he says it to the goat right before he dies. He's like, you guys have made a covenant. And as he gets more pathetic, he's accusing more and more people of like the exact same thing, which is like, I'm the holiest out of everyone. You're all pretending to be holy. You're all conspiring against me. And it just sounds more and more hollow and more pathetic as you find out who this guy is. Mm-hmm. It's like over and over again. He's like, oh, my family's even turned on me. Oh, even now the goat's turning on me, and he's made a covenant with the father. Like, it's just this guy's proclamations sound more and more kind of just pathetic and hollow, as to the point where he just gored to death in the middle of saying like his last one of them.
Yeah, like, we didn't want to let you finish that sentence. I was gonna collapse this like a firewood on you.
Yeah, and the wood becomes such a symbol of his impotence too. You know, just as the daughter's like, all you could do is the only thing you're good at is chopping wood, and like even that is not gonna, it's not gonna help. Like we can't eat the wood, so it's not gonna help us. Like he's just crushed under his own, I guess, attempt to conquer nature. Is just like left on him as this kind of
he's crushed underneath his own hubris, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even really a metaphor. See, I expected there to be like Black Phillip talking the entire time, and just based on
what the movie,
because I had seen like the screen cap of "Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?" and with the goat, what is this? And I assumed it's like, oh, it's a movie about a talking goat. It's like the devil or something.
Well, what's that?
Not really. It's more about how Calvinism sucks.
I think it's a lamb, but there's that one movie that Jason told me about a while ago where it's like the lamb is like it's like the sheep or something is the father, and the sheep mates with like a person, and so it's like a half person, half sheep thing. It's like another one. It's like the Swedish movie.
Yeah, it's called Lamb, and it's really good. It's really weird, but it's really good. Yeah, it's another A24.
Yeah, but I would think it's like that, but it's the Black Phillip story.
I want the Black Phillip spinoff. I want the prequel.
Where's that Disney Plus prestige streaming series?
Yeah. Give it to me.
Yeah. So it ended up being, and so I understand where they came to use the term art house horror. I think that's just off-putting in a way that makes it sound like it's something that's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think for most people, and I think that's too bad. I think if anything, the endless hackery and sequel work and just rip off of nature of the low bar of horror movies should be considered like a slop paradigm to put them in, because there's so much more of those, and that's what should be focused on, is like, hey, don't look at these things, look at these things that actually are telling good stories.
The super chat, so this is an advert for Land of Lakes.
It is the first thing he mentions. I mean, yeah.
Guys, my family has, this is so silly. We have an invention called the butter crayon, and it's like a housing that you can put a piece of butter in, and you can use it like a crayon to like use across pan. You can go purchase it online if you want to. But I have done social media for years for my family. My dad always vetoes my witch memes of like, do you like the taste of butter? And he's like, Lauren, this is creepy. We can't use this for our family friendly invention. I'm like,
I need my butter canola oil.
Everyone's gonna think it's so funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
we use that on Lakes. Oh God, I remember
live deliciously with the butter crayon.
Live deliciously with the butter crayon.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the outrage when they were. It reminds me of the outrage over them removing the indigenous woman from the container from Land O'Lakes, but yet they put her back on. It's
right.
like
they should put they should put Thomason on there. She could
put Black Phillip on
Black
there.
Phillip are the new spokespeople for Land O'Lakes.
I mean,
they made Land O'Lakes woke by putting a Black Phillip on
the. Why is it gotta be a Black Phillip?
Why is it gotta be Black Phillip?
Why can't
they also get outraged that they're like, all right, the goat could be white, and they get outraged that you took the black goat off there, and they're like, oh, this has gone woke again. And it's like, I can't win.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So plot wise, I mean, I feel like it's a fairly simple story, right? And at the end of it, we everyone's dead. She's clearly better off, ending. Right? It's like, well, all right, what's your alternative? You could be on this crappy farm with all your dead family, or you could you could sign the book and live deliciously and have some butter sticks.
So there's this whole thing where signing the book, which is like such a funny way of like, I guess when you went to church, they'd make you sign the member book, and that was like, oh, I believe in like the Holy Spirit. Like,
I assume it was some old school religiosity.
Yeah. So when they started, so they don't have very many reference points. So when they started doing the Salem witch trials, they're like, oh, how do you make a covenant with the devil? And people like the people at the witch trials kept being like, well, they signed the book, because already signing the book is what you do in a church. So they just flip that kind of, and they're like, oh yeah, like they signed the book and now they're like now they're a witch. Like that's how it works. The same way you sign a book to make your covenant with God, and it's like that's almost anticlimactic. Like I thought it was something like my thing is the devil. I said this to you guys, but my thing is the devil is I would like go up to women and be like, "Will you sign your autograph?" And then they sign their autograph, and I'd be like, "You're a witch now. You made a covenant with the devil. You're living deliciously."
Well, it kind of reminds me of People's Temple. They would have their Jim Jones and his planning commission would force people to sign like blank pieces of paper, and then later like type up like crimes that they've done or whatever, and they're like, oh, you know, you're tied to us. You can't do anything about it. You know, you signed a piece of paper admitting that you molested your kid or whatever the hell.
Black Phillip fought for King Philip. That's a super chat. Let me they used to just call people like they used to be like, oh, that's Black Tom or something, and then that would be
Black. What was it? What Black Cat Tom or something? I'm from Deadpool and
yeah, that started with the Black Irish. So basically, if you have black hair, is what that meant to, and that
and then Red Tom is like, you know, red whoever is like people with ginger hair. Like,
right. It's less complicated than you think it is, and less racially fraught. But let's just get back on track here, and then we'll throw the one-liners. But Catherine, she has that hallucinatory vision where the son and the baby are back, and she's like starting to nurse them. And then you see it's a raven like pecking at her breast, which is pretty horrific.
Yeah.
I understand why Anya Taylor Joy had a body devil to do all her nudity. I understand it now.
So you know, Black Phillip gores and kills the dad. You know, the twins are dead. Catherine just goes apeshit on Thomason and tries to strangle her, and she that's that hook thing, and just that's like one of those horror movie things in the movie of just like getting her with the hook, because she's clearly not ever going to stop. And then she enters the goat house and asks Black Phillip to speak to her, and we finally hear from Black Phillip, right? And
see some really good looking boots.
Yeah, he materializes to like a handsome dressed man.
He's a handsome devil.
Yep. And tells her to remove her clothes and sign her name in the book. And then she's like, well, what else am I doing? Sure.
Bound for life.
And she does. And she goes into the forest, and we get that crazy scene. I think they're actual dancers. They're the actresses. Like that. You see the coven kind of doing their coven stuff. And she joins up, starts floating away, and starts laughing, right? And that's how the movie ends. And good for her, is what I say.
Oh my gosh. Good for her.
I mean, it's the Raven thing, right? Like, it's interesting because there's been so many things associated with like ravens, like indigenous, like early, you know, early Americans, like they viewed the raven actually as like the creator. Like the raven was the one who created life and would come down and like was like a bringer of light. Whereas like I think more in Europe they like viewed ravens as kind of like a sign of death. And it's this like. It's like there's so many different, and like even in England, there's like the thing that Arthur turned himself into a raven. It was like the sign that King Arthur is not actually dead. He's a raven now. Like
he's transmuted for him.
Yeah. There's just like there's been so many different like iterations of what that symbolically means, because they're one of those few birds and like few animals I think that appear across all these different cultures because they're just so widespread.
Yep. That is very, very true.
Hi, I've returned. I just remembered something when you were talking about that scene with like the witches floating, that in 2020, my friends did a commissioned art thing. It was black horror for Black Lives Matter. So she just commissioned all of this art. I completely forgot that I have this. I got commissioned a giant one-of-a-kind painting of Black Phillip's head. And it has that scene.
Oh my God.
With the witches. She drew this like by hand.
We both pressed no ones.
I'll take a picture of it so you can put it in the Discord so you can show people. It was like incredible hand painted.
Put it up.
It is
solo layout.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Isn't
Wow.
that incredible? Hand painted.
Black
It
Phillip.
cost me
Black
a
Phillip.
$50
Crown upon his
donation.
head.
$50 donations to Black Lives Matter, and now I have this like one of a kind piece of art. Like she should make prints of it. It's really incredible.
That rules. I like that.
Yeah, it is my favorite thing in my house. And then I was like, wait, I have this. I should show people. But yeah, like such an iconic image, like just the levitating women at the end of the movie. I think about it all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty arresting. And again, this is in a movie filled with arresting images. Like it does very well for that. Letterboxd, of course, is a place for film lovers talk at, with, and to each other about the films they love, maybe the films that they didn't love, and maybe the films where their review was exclusively just good for her.
Good for her.
And good for her.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a bottom-up democracy. Everyone gets to have their say. Everyone gets to chime and opine, not just Siskel's and Eberts of the world. Everybody gets to talk all about it. And of course, this is best expressed succinctly for the purposes of this bit for episode 300. That's right, folks. This is the Letterboxd one-liners for the Vavitch. Let's roll them. Not a cell phone in sight. Just people living in the moment.
Robert Eggers would be like, yeah, because if I filmed any cell phones, I'd throw up.
It's historical inaccuracy. I can't do his voice. You got a distinctive voice. I can't do it. Thomason, worst babysitter of the century, and should be grateful that Yelp did not exist.
Real.
It's like, imagine the one person on Yelp is your mom, like the
your chief hater.
babysitting services, and it's like, yeah, my kid went missing. My kid went
0
missing,
stars.
like the way the Lindbergh baby went missing.
I shall give thee 0 stars if I could.
See, now I wish we had some like unlimited budget. We just come up with like a fake Yelp site that just has all old English reviews, right? And it would be Yelp, YELPE. Yeah, right. There you go. Thank you. Fuck butter. I'd sign Black Phillip's book for a "Wouldst thou like the taste of Baja Blast?"
See, I was like, when I was putting this together, I was thinking about like there was like I can't remember if it was like a tweet from like a while ago that was like it was like I think they've done the format with other different things, but it's like, oh, if like George Washington ever ate a Dorito, it would probably kill him. So if you ever had to try that like flavor profile. So I'm just imagining like a person from the 1630s like having to try the flavor profile of a Baja Blast. They're just like electrocuting them like
the zest witchcraft.
Well, yeah, that, like I guess they'd have to update it for the times a little bit to a certain degree, but yeah, makes sense to me.
You go back in time with a Baja Blast and you like give it to a pilgrim.
Yeah, their head just explodes.
You kill that.
I just killed Benjamin Franklin. Yeah. Actually, Benjamin Franklin was the only one that it wouldn't kill. Everyone else would.
Yeah, that's how we discovered electricity.
Like,
She's like,
see, now it sounds like we're doing a commercial for Baja Blast, which we should be compensated for. Thou don't fucketh with spooky goats. Wouldst thou like to fucketh with spooky goats?
Are you saying that I would sleep with you, Black Phillip, to become a witch?
Ancillary to this amazing movie, I just really want to know what the witches do all day out in the woods. Like, they seem to be way out there, and there can't be that many babies and children around for them. What's a day in the life like?
And what did they do before, like, I don't know, like European, like, because for a fact that like Native Americans ain't falling for that witch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not just letting like a witch come into the neighborhood and start like fucking everything up. They're like, oh, they're doing what they did with Remick and Sinners, where the only people that like know that there's vampires and they're chasing them down are like the Choctaw or whatever. They're like, we're gonna kill this vampire. Oh,
that's great. That'd be a great sequel.
Yeah.
They probably came over from the old world, I would imagine. Nothing really sets a movie's tone faster than a baby in a mortar and pestle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll say.
Well, I need to make a flying ointment.
It's early on, too, friends. It's early on.
Yeah. It's like, she's doing peekaboo.
Yeah.
Peekaboo.
This Hocus Pocus prequel is kind of messed up.
Oh my god, I was thinking that
too. Well, she ends up with two sisters. She ends up with two sisters a lot dumber than she is.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
did that movie last week, by the way, which is even funnier.
It feels like so much longer for some reason. It's been a long week.
Yeah, it really
This
does.
last week went by very slow, and I hated it.
You, the witch, me, intellectual, the Vavitch.
The Vavitch.
Yes.
The Vavitch.
Wouldst thou like to live viciously?
Suffering
also-
succotash.
I taught putty tat. I did see a putty tat.
It's the best of the cat as the devil. Anyway, the scariest part of this movie is the Calvinism. Hard to agree.
And I've always said that. Yes.
Well, like it's like the beginning of Calvinism is like the concept of like predestination, which you either think that you're predestined, which obviously they all did. They're like, oh, I'm definitely one of those guys. But also it's like, well, best not to think about it and just kind of act as if you are predestined. And it's like, you're in the middle of the woods. Like, of course you're fucking thinking about it. You're like wondering if you're one of the predestined ones. Like, or if your dead brother is like that didn't do anything because he was only born like a week ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, listen, if Satan spoke to me in that voice, I'd probably do anything he asked too.
Yeah.
He also he has a thing where it's like a double whisper too. Like it sounds like it's more than one voice layered on top of each other too. So it's like, oh, all right. Like no, like in the 1630s, they've never heard that shit before. I've heard it now with like Lana Del Rey songs.
You can't fool me, Black Phillip.
I know you're
Lana Del Rey. Look, those are Letterboxd one-liners for the Vavitch. Please follow the show. Please follow the show at Movie Night Extra on Letterboxd, or Letterboxd HQ account, where we're logging all the great movies that we do on this show, as well as attended short form content, clips, all that good stuff on the popular Letterboxd format. The Witch of the Woods over there at Always Flacco. You can follow him on Letterboxd for his various things. Both with this shit, not. I knew you did the Sting for Unkind Rewind because I saw you logged. I'm like, oh, that's why did he log the Sting? And I was like, oh, but that's what he did for Unkind Rewind.
Could be abusing that soundboard in the after party, by the way.
Oh,
well, I gotta
you
add
think?
something. I wanted to add "Would you like to live deliciously?" But I didn't have it. Like I just didn't have a.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, am at Conan Neutron, the Black Phillip Fiend Club. Follow me for the Highbrow, Midbrow, Populous Fair. Criterion Challenge 3 left to go. So I'm definitely clearing it this year. Just not.
Yo, imagine Black Phillip's like podcast.
I thought you say imagine Black Phillip's Criterion Challenge, and I was like, I don't know.
Too, yeah. Or his Letterboxd. Imagine your Black Phillip. I think it would look a little something like.
Yo, did you hear Black Phillip gave one girl after another 2 stars? It's crazy.
And they like
be like
Psycho.
It'd be stylized in a way that it's all very small lettering and like in like some like italicized format in such a way that would look like how he speaks.
It's only movies about the devil. He's only rating movies about the devil. He's like
only about the devil and farm animals. So it'll be like Ken Russell's
right Animal Farm. Charlotte's Web, okay.
Charlotte's Web. He's like, that's what life in the barn is really like.
Okay, if I had unlimited time, and I definitely don't, I would absolutely make this Black Phillip account, but I do not have the time for any of that.
I once lived like a spider. It was not easy. I give Charlotte all the credit in the world.
Poor Amy Adams.
A goofy movie. 5 stars. Would you like to live goofylishly?
The Vavitch of the Vavitch, Adam Kristina. Please follow her on the proper Letterboxd format, Adam Kristina. I gotta finish this bit, man. We gotta get out of here. Please follow the birthday girl down there. Give her a Letterboxd follow. She's logging stuff for the show and so much more. Of course, Lonely Goat. Lauren, one of my favorite and first friends on Letterboxd. Can't believe it's not the taste of butter. You can follow her on Letterboxd as well. We're going to go into our actual plugs in a second, but Lauren, go ahead and give us your final thoughts on the Vavitch, because I know you got to bail. You got stuff to do.
Yes. No, I just love this movie so much, not just for the vibes, not just for what it did for the genre, but also just like what it did for feminism and the start of the good for her movement. I really feel like it's such a like cathartic movie to be able to like see the liberation of women in this very unconventional way. And I think that the iconography of so many of these scenes like really just lives rent free in my head. And I mean, I have the fan art in my house.
You have framed art that shows it. You're backing it up.
I'll send you a picture of this for the Discord. I did dress up as Black Phillip for Halloween 2 years ago in a burlesque.
I think I remember
style.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wore like a leather cat suit with a little billy goat. It's like I looked hot. I'll send you the picture. But like
sexy Black Phillip costume.
It was like Black Phillip.
Black Phillip.
But yeah, I just think that this movie is so special, and I love what it has done to like revive the genre and move us toward this like really like cool, vibey, artistic, cerebral kind of wave of movies that I'm like loving right now. So
yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I feel like the ultimate good for her movie is Midsommar, like the ending of that movie, right? And so it's like it's the
nadir of good for her cinema. Yeah,
it's like it's the same producer really that like made The Witch happen and Midsommar happen.
Yes.
All right. Back to our feminism. Lauren, we really appreciate you as always coming on. Until next time, let's hit with the plugs.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and then hit the bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. And we'd humbly request that you watch the video to the end, because it helps us with the algorithm and helps more film fans to discover the show. We're also monetized. If you want to get your chat questions definitely read on stream, you can always send us a super chat, which will help us keep the show going. Every cent helps. If you're watching on Twitch, you can gift us a free sub on Amazon Prime with your Prime membership, but getting subs on Twitch is always appreciated, and it helps to follow us on there as well. We also have an audio feed, which is available wherever you download podcasts, if you prefer to listen to podcasts rather than watch the stream. That's updated usually the same day we stream, but watching on YouTube and Twitch is the best way to get the show first, live as it happens. If you want to support us with a monthly donation and get access to all of our after parties forever, which go patron only after we do them, you can become a patron at patreon.com/movie night extra. Link is in the description for that. It really helps us keep the show going, since we do have some expenses to make this happen. We also have a Discord community. Link is in the description for that. We sometimes watch movies we cover on there. We get into conversations about everything from film to TV shows to related podcasts. We even have a Discord channel for memes. It's really fun on there. You can find us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads. You connect with us on all of those. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, we recently made a TikTok at Movie Night Extra, where we're putting up short form clips from the episodes. Okay, passing this to Conan so he can tell you about his music and this week's Protonic Reversal. Conan, who's on Protonic this week?
Yes. So the Andrew Dalton Nuzzle episode is up in the general feed now at the time of this streaming. So go check that out. Should be a good one. There's one more if I go on tour. Justin Pearson of the Locust and Def Club and Planet B 31G Records is coming back on the show. It's been a long time since he's been on. That should be a good one. I'm doing one more before tour, so check out that. And again, Thursdays 8 Eastern, 6 Central. God damn it. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. ProtonicReversal.com. Streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. Podcast later everywhere. Always free. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding. Patreon.com/Protonic Reversal. $1 a month for those episodes in advance, and helps keep the lights on in here. Had a big fall off in patrons recently, and I realized because I'm just not pushing that like I used to, and that is something that I would like to rectify. So there's a bunch of good stuff coming post tour. So check out that on all the social media. Conan Neutron, The Secret Friends on tour this week. First show is Friday in Chicago. So we got Chicago, Minneapolis, Lincoln, Denver, Salt Lake City, Boise, Eugene, Portland, and Seattle for the incredible Rat City Recon, which is an all-day event at a roller rink, huge event, tons of bands, Pistons, God Bullies, Buildings, Charity Program, Cherubs are on there, Helmsley, so on and so on. Amazing time. We played a couple years ago. It was wonderful. If you're in the Seattle area, go see that. And then, and because of that, I will not be on next week to do a Kiki's delivery service. It's Miyazaki, so I can't be on for it. That's apparently the established rule.
Yeah, it always happens.
It seems to always happen. I don't know. Maybe someday I won't. And then November, we're out as well. Conan Neutron, Secret Friends, Kansas City, Jackson, Mississippi, Atlanta, Georgia, New Orleans, Austin, Denton, Wichita, Santa Fe, and Phoenix. And then we're closing out the year in Los Angeles with Mr. Mike Watt for my birthday at the River Bar. And that's going to be lovely time indeed. So neutronfriends.com, neutronfriends.bandcamp.com, follow at Conan Neutron and darn near everything. If you're any of those places, come by.
I like how the first question on we look up Kiki's delivery service. The first question is Kiki autistic?
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. That's the state of the world, everybody. That is where we're at as a society. Also, we're going to be doing an after party in celebration of it being the 300th episode. So please, everyone joining us live, please join us.
And my birthday.
And Christina's deferred birthday celebration. Yes, as well.
You know, we always end up not really getting to do a celebration for myself. You guys always have the fun.
It's not for lack of trying. I mean, it's.
God damn, I should have been born in December. Why did I have to be born 2 months early? Why did I want to come into this godforsaken world so early? Anyway,
well, let me tell you, being born in December is no great shakes, but that's a separate topic. We'll get into it on the after. Yeah, it's not good to be.
I was named after Columbus, for God's sakes. I was literally born on Columbus Day. Okay, I don't like it.
Wait.
All right. Well, that just gives you a taste of all the wild antics, everybody, and mirth to come on our 300th episode.
Conan Neutron, wild antics.
Yeah, hard to believe. I know.
That's a song. That's on the.
What is that? Oh, I almost forgot. Video premiere tomorrow morning for Villain of Circumstance, directed by Rick Valentin, former guest of the show, friend of the show. It's noir themed, so you can play Spot the Noir because there's noir references all around, and it's really well. So we're doing a big announcement with that.
Sick.
I mean, I guess we could freaking play it on the after party if we felt so inclined. I don't know what else we got planned. So,
okay.
No harm, no foul.
I don't know what else we got planned.
Wait, we're trying to get into the mallet hit with the yeah.
No, but I do want to get the awooga. I'm gonna get the awooga as a sound. You can add whatever sounds you want.
Yeah, I want the Tim Pool.
Sam Cedar saying pause it.
Happy birthday,
Christina. Thank you, baby.
I do 300, and she looks so young.
I do. I know. Yeah, right. I do like the idea of the black.
I'm eating babies.
I do not like that idea. Black Phillips letterboxed. I think that's a bit that's got legs. We might get into in the after party. We'll see.
I also like
this is the Black Phillip podcast where we teach you how to live deliciously.
It's like basically ASMR.
He's selling your product, like he's hogging products that will help you live deliciously. He's like, this is a flying ointment.
One likes to live deliciously.
This is a flying ointment, 100%.
JustCoffee.coop.
He's like, look, we like to be ethical here, so we no longer make the flying ointments out of real human babies. But I promise it still works.
It's imitation baby, but it'll still fly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Kristina, what do you got?
Kristina, yeah.
I'm considering just giving up the cosmopolitics brand and going back to Kristina because I'm getting sick and tired of politics in general in the world.
Yeah,
and just do cozy gaming streaming in the new year once I get a new PC. But no Christina's Corner tomorrow because I'm going to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show with Little Nell tomorrow night.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yo, did you see the? I mean, I messaged you about this, but Bonnie went to a showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Tim Curry they
and
wheeled
Barry
out Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Like, God damn it.
That's crazy.
That's Bonnie Burton's life, everybody.
Lucky her. I just had my birthday stream and I barely remember a whole lot of it because I drank and drank and drank, and then as soon as I was done, I threw up and I felt fine after that.
Sounds
this based
sounds
on
like you're
Thursday.
living deliciously.
It sounds like that worth living deliciously.
Also, this Thursday on this space, we're gonna be covering the debate between Mamdani and the serial sexual harasser Andrew Cuomo. So that should be fun.
Or covering the debate between Mamdani and this can't be right, Black Phillip.
Yeah. Also, apparently, Majority Report's at Mamdani's rally right now.
They're at the.
But
Emma's crazy.
Emma's having major FOMO right now because she's sick, and I'm like, oh. Also, I want to promote Julia Linger.
Oh, Julia Linger, yes.
Her Guts and Glory is premiering tonight at 12 a.m. Eastern on Shudder and AMC Plus.
Friend of the show, Julia Linger. It's. I'm looking forward to
Guts and Glory. Guts and Glory sounds like the name of a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
Like I can see that being like, you'd be like, welcome to Guts to Glory. We'll tattoo the outside and the inside.
Yeah.
I don't know the rest of the cast. Black Phillip could be in it for all I know, but I know Julia's in it. That's all we know.
They're not letting him be. Well, it's not a movie. Yeah, maybe Black Phillip. Maybe Black Phillip can only do TV now. They only let him do TV because
it's working. I heard Black Phillip's doing a film with Roman Polanski. Too soon? All right. Well, thank you.
Well, I mean, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to say anything.
Roman Polanski, everybody. Yes, that's the joke. Thank you.
This was like doing interviews with him, and I'm like, this is kind of weird, but okay.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. They've done interviews together, and I'm like, what?
Black Phillip and Roman Polanski?
Yeah, or what's her face?
When you were doing Chinatown, what were your influences?
Thank you, Black Phillip. Everybody, what are we doing? What are we?
I was gonna see. I was. It was taking me a minute. I was formulating a Last Tango in Paris joke.
Oh,
okay. The butter, where it's Black Phillip that gave Marlon Brando the butter to use in the scene where he sodomizes her with the butter. He's like, "Would you like to live deliciously, Marlon Brando?" And he's like, "I'm pretty sure I already am, but
I'm pretty sure he has to."
Yeah. By 1972,
Too late to ask.
By 1972, I think Marlon Brando was indeed living deliciously.
Yeah, he had a couple decades of living deliciously there. Yeah.
But
respect.
Marlon Brando coming on next week.
Next week, Marlon Brando and Black Phillip. Crazy.
I didn't know they were working together.
Exactly. It's a surprise casting.
But Conan. I guess we'll switch this around because Kristina's the birthday girl. We'll let her go. We'll give her the top spot.
That's right.
Hey.
So the Vavitch, as it canonically is pronounced, thought-provoking, visually compelling, full of pervasive dread. I think that there's a great sort of weighty, unyielding atmosphere in here, and all of the Eggers hallmarks are here in this film that are more finely honed and deployed in more complex and complicated stories later on. It's all here right out of the gate. It's an incredible debut. I do feel that the era-appropriate language and jargon can be jarring and somewhat inscrutable. So my suggestion to you, watch it with subtitles. I'm not even kidding.
Watch everything with subtitles, honestly.
I mean, certainly anything with a heavy accent. I mean, your call. But coming back to it to re-examine after really engaging hard with all the rest of his movies actually helped for me to kind of get something more out of this one. The hype at this time was impossible, and at the time I saw it, it did not live up to it for me. But I think it's a cool movie, and I think it would be podcast malpractice to not include it in our witch month, and I think it was sits very nicely in that, and it was a great discussion. I thought, even with all the notes.
Pink Phillip, you're up.
Hey, I mean, I'm all horned up, you know what I'm saying?
Good. That's good.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Tune in the after break for way more of that.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, I mean, this really was, and no one saw this coming. That this would be the start of an amazing, trajectory for Robert Eggers as a director. This is where it all began for him. We see those early signs of his style, his trademark, what he's really into, what he's not into. This is like a top 5 witch movie for me, in my opinion. You kind of have to, again, like Conan said, maybe watch it with subtitles because, accents and all. Cinematography is great, but again, that's just a bonus for when it comes to, Eggers' filmography. It's on HBO Max if you want to watch it. I recommend it, especially with this month. If maybe you guys, since we're doing the witch theme, maybe you guys are watching a bunch of witch movies this month. Awesome. Again, highly recommend this one.
Us too.
Yes, us too. But if you're someone who hasn't even just saw Nosferatu and hasn't seen any other Eggers movie, just start from the beginning and do what Forrest did when we were doing Nosferatu.
Kristina's all horned out as Pink Phillip. Pink Phillip. But yeah, I really, I think all 4 of his movies have kind of knocked it out of the park. People I guess quibble about The Northman, which I think is like
because that movie's great. That movie's like the discourse around that one. So all right, I guess we can get into that in the after party. But I can sum it up pretty quickly. A bunch of the worst people in the world liked it for all the wrong reasons, and people assumed that it was like the dumbest version of the thing. And that
Kristina,
that's never happened before in a film.
Pink Phillip's gonna eat that cat.
So the Northman is great. I would love to do The Northman on this very show because I think it's somehow was most underrated movie.
No, we haven't done The Lighthouse either.
We didn't do The Lighthouse.
I mean, come on.
Northman is
this is only our second
Ben Burgess's show. But I haven't done it on this show.
He didn't really like it for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure, right? Or was it?
Typical
That was Nosferatu.
Ben Burgess.
It was Nosferatu.
I think Nosferatu. He was like the one person that was like, "Oh, I don't like it."
Yeah,
it's like I don't know.
Let's not be so pretentious.
My mom doesn't even like horror movies, and she liked Nosferatu.
Yeah,
so
gothic horror is a very different thing from like slasher and gore, and there's a very romantic aspect to it all.
My mom watched Nosferatu, and she was like, "This has really inspired me to want to work on more jewelry." And I was like, "I don't know if that's what he was going for, but I
I don't think that's what you come. That's the conclusion you come to.
Probably wasn't like the primary goal, but great art should inspire. Sure, I
know for a fact that when my mom and I watch Sinners, she's gonna want to film me dancing to Rocky Road to Dublin so bad.
And you should be dressed like that. And you should be
Pink Phillip, indeed.
Pink Phillip.
Right.
Is that like it's like Pink Pantheress or whatever that rapper is Pink Phillip?
Yeah, Pink Pantheress, yeah.
Right, we clearly shifted into after party mode already. I will not be on for Kiki's Delivery Service and I think Love Witch, right?
Love Witch Baby.
Love Witch Baby. Josh has been prepared to hear that 1,000 times because I'm sure it's coming. But I will be back.
He bows out before the episode because he's like,
he just dips.
I can't do this anymore.
So I'm going to be out on tour, but I will be back for Weapons. Closing out our Witch Month with a friend of the show, Renee Ruin. And then, of course, make sure to tune in for Love Witch and Kiki's Delivery Service. There's going to be great episodes.
Yeah, hell yeah. Calling already. Great episodes. Thanks for joining us for 300 episodes.
This was SPARTA.
I was going to put that as the sound, and then I forgot.